What's going on, guys? The Geektastic Duo is back. We got another video. We're talking Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad, and Ron is not going to watch this movie.
No.
And Ron, tell us why you're not. Let's just start with Ron. Why aren't you going to watch this movie? Let us know.
Many reasons. Well, if anyone knows me on Twitter, they would know how vehement I've been about this R-rated take on superheroes, right? You know, things like The Boys, Invincible, Watchmen. I'm vehemently against all of that, and I thought, if anything, those are just outliers. Those are other original creations that are not going to affect, DC or Marvel. And in the last several years, I've seen that DC has embraced this vulgar, violent, R-rated take on their characters. It started with
Give an example. Yeah.
there was an R-rated cut of Batman v Superman. There, a lot of their original animated movies started getting more violent and more brutal, and a lot of them ended up being R-rated. The Titans show is rated M for mature. This trend started happening, and the Harley Quinn cartoon is R-rated. So I've seen this trend for DC to embrace this kind of mature interpretation of their characters,
Like a real gritty take on superheroes.
like a real gritty
gritty, right?
Yeah, too gritty. And
okay.
I noticed that, and it kept disappointing me. Like, I kept not liking it. And this Suicide Squad movie is just an extension of that idea, which I already don't like.
Okay. Do you like Batman if he's violent? And I don't mean killing people, just like violent, just brutal.
No. I hate that. No, that's not Batman. That's Punisher. That's not Batman. Batman doesn't kill.
Okay, what about just Batman being brutal? Like breaking a bone, just like punching really hard, headbutting really hard. I mean, because that could be really savage, and you're not really killing anybody.
Right? It could be. It depends. I've seen it done well. I've seen there's a fine line that I don't think Batman should ever cross. I don't think he should ever be too brutal or too violent. He could intimidate. He can scare. I've seen it done well, and I've seen it done horribly in different takes on the character.
Okay. So you're just not a fan of that type of superhero story when it's just like Invincible, just over the top violence.
Yeah, precisely.
The Boys, okay.
Yeah. You might say, oh, well, Suicide Squad, they're not really heroes, but they're not really, superheroes. So they're like villains, whatever. But the thing is, that's still adjacent to the iconic superheroes. That's still connected to Batman and Superman and all of those other characters,
Okay. Real quick, did you see the original Suicide Squad?
Yes.
Okay. From a 1 to 10, what would you give that?
Maybe 4.5.
Okay, we're on the same page there. I literally will give that movie a 4 out of 10. Literally, that wasn't even a 5. 5 is like half good. I don't even know if you can even say half good. I mean, 5 is like it's half out of 10. You're still failing. Just not. I mean, I give it a 4, a solid 4. And that's only because I don't remember anything, and I'm trying to be kind. From what I do remember of the movie, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like anything about it. Nothing at all. Anything at all.
And it's not only the R-ratedness of it. It's also that DC has fully embraced the virtue signaling, the SJW-ness, and the swapping of races, gender, whatever.
With the first Suicide Squad movie, did it have any of that? Because I don't remember the original characters.
Deadshot's not black.
Okay, all right.
The character that Will Smith played.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Deadshot a little bit. I know he has the mask. I'm thinking Deathstroke. So there you go. I'm already off. I don't know much about Deathshot anyway. I don't. I'm thinking of Deathstroke. My bad.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
I was just done, and James Gunn, he's done some other stuff before. I liked his Guardians movie. I liked, he had to rein back the violence for the Guardians movie with Marvel, and that was good. But I was never gonna watch this movie. For me, I feel that if I watch this movie, I am admitting that what they're doing to these characters, this deconstructed, dark, violent take on these characters is okay. Simply by watching it, I would feel like I would be advocating that. That would be
Okay. I gotta interject here, okay? Because I'm just gonna say I did not want to see this movie. I'm gonna be straight up. I didn't know much about Suicide Squad 2 to begin with. I didn't even know James Gunn was attached to it until I found out, like literally the day before I watched it. And then Idris Elba, just because you just see some of the trailers. So I mean, I had no plan, I had no care, desire to watch the Suicide Squad, the sequel, a soft reboot, whatever. I will say that the concept of a ragtag group of undesirables that aren't really meant to fit together, kind of like forced to fit for like a over the top mission, a suicide mission, if you will, against all odds. That concept I love. I'm just that's the comic book guy in me that's gonna always love that concept.
I'll tell you what.
Mhm.
If this movie had been PG-13, I might have given it a chance.
Okay. So again, I didn't know it was going to be what it was. I did see, I guess, the R rating, because when you see it on HBO Max, like I think it has a rating, so you know what you're getting into. What got me to watch the movie is, if you guys could see in the center of the screen, I'm an anthropomorphic guy, right? That's my thing. I love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? Street Sharks was cool. I write a comic, Galactic Rodents of Mayhem. They're cool,
an
anthropomorphic
shark.
space capybaras that does feature an anthropomorphic shark. So that was my ticket in. That was like, okay. And I saw I saw some trailer. I don't know what I saw. And I saw the shark, and I'm just like, that's why I'm watching this. That was the reason why I was watching it. It wasn't James Gunn. It wasn't Idris Elba. It wasn't the Suicide Squad. None of that. What got me in to watch it was the freaking half man, half shark, king shark. That's why I watched it. Okay. Now, with that said, I watched it and I was surprised by the fact that I was enjoying it. I turned my brain off. I had a rough day. I'm like, I want to sit down. I want to see stuff blow up. I want to see people get headshotted. I just want to, I know what I'm getting into with this. And I'm like, okay, if I just see this shark guy eat someone, I'm going to be happy. I'm like, I want to see the cool spots King Shark gets. That was my whole ticket in. And when I'm watching this, I'm like, this is becoming a great movie. And I know you don't want to watch it because you feel characters are being sullied, iconic characters are being sullied. I'm going to tell you, I don't know much about King Shark. I don't know much about the polka dot guy that's there. He's the one all the way on the far right. They have the Peacekeeper. I don't know much about the Peacekeeper, but I was so pleased to find out that John Cena plays this Peacekeeper. That was a surprise for me. I'm sorry. I'm a wrestling guy.
I heard that character is like one of the worst in the movie. Like he's like the worst.
There's a reason, and it's so beautiful. And again, this is a spoiler rant. So, guys, if you haven't seen this, I'm just gonna let you know this is the spoiler rant coming in. Ron, I don't know if he cares for spoilers. He said he's not gonna watch this.
I'm not.
The reason why the Peacekeeper is such a brilliant asshole, right, is because he claims to do whatever it takes to keep the peace, right? That's what his mission is, right? And while he's there, and their mission is, Ron, I'll tell you right now, the basic setup is you got the Suicide Squad, and they're sent in, and they're supposed to stop like some kind of creature, right? This creature is something that was like in the 60s. It's like this Lovecraftian type starfish. It's just really cool. And
Starro.
the CG Starro, yeah. Starro. Yeah. So if you know that from the character, I didn't know that.
No, but he's a big stable of DC. You know, and you know what? That you just brought up a point that I didn't know. That it upsets me that the first appearance of Starro in movie form is in this trash movie. It should be in a Justice League movie or something else, not a Suicide Squad.
It should be. I'll give you that. But James Gunn pulled him in, and it's a massive threat. And what's funny, and it's kind of, I guess it's kind of like topical, I guess you could say, there's like this fictional Latin American country, Cuba / Venezuela. It's I can't even remember, the Court of Maltese or something like that. Is this something? I can't even remember. Forgive me for not remembering. But their whole gimmick is that, it's like this regime dictatorship, but they have Starro, right? And they do experiments. And the cool thing is like this big Starro creature out of his little armpit shoots out these mini stars, star heads.
They attach to your face and they take you over. Yeah.
Holy dude, I'm like, I'm a kid at a candy shop. I'm like a kid at a comic book shop. I'm loving this.
Starro's been a long stable in DC. I've read comics. They have them in a bunch of the animated shows that I've seen. So I'm not surprised at what he does.
So he's a massive threat. Now the way Peacekeeper gets into this is because it's to the point where Starro's whole, the way they do these experiments, trying to see if they could take the thing off the face. They're just experimenting on what this Starro thing could do. That was spearheaded by the United States of America. They wanted to do these tests. Yeah. And it's like, well, we can't do these tests on American soil. You know what? We'll do it on, and we'll team up with this regime in a way. But we're kind of enemies, but we're kind of letting them do this, but we're monitoring it kind of thing. So when things getting out of hand, that's like their whole cover up. Peacekeeper is there just to like shut down all the footage of anything that he's just to shut down the connection, get any kind of data that ties the United States to Starro and all the experiments. So it's so awesome is because like he's like the bad guy, because it's like a heel turn you don't expect. It's almost like, what? Wait, what? And he's like, I got to do what I got to do to keep the peace. And he goes at it with Randall Flagg, I think it is, Captain Flagg, whatever. They go at it and they have an awesome fight scene. And one of the best lines for me is when John Cena kills him, Peacekeeper kills him, and he's like, Flagg is about to die, and he just looks at him. He's like, Peacekeeper, what a joke. And he just like dies out and passes. I just thought that was funny, and I thought that was awesome because like you're really supposed to keep the peace, but you're a bad guy. You just do. You just.
Well, you know what? Here's another thing. Peacekeeper's getting his own show. Like, really, I want to see more about that jerk. No.
I'm okay. Again, I'm just gonna say if it's John Cena doing a character, I want to see it only because he could be an interesting character. Just the way we talked about what was the dude in the Captain America in the Winter Soldier, the Falcon in the Winter Soldier.
Oh, that's different.
National Agent, right? What was his name? I can't even remember.
U.S. Agent.
U.S. Agent. My God, U.S. Agent. So I feel like Peacekeeper could kind of have this dimension to him of like U.S. Agent, where okay, he's tasked to do this stuff.
No,
but
I don't
he's
want
doing
to
it
see
to keep the peace.
A complete and irredeemable jerk like him. Like, I'm not compelled to see that.
That's you. I'm just saying there's going to be people that want to watch it. I'm just saying that I like John Cena and I like how he handled the character. I would be intrigued to see where they go with that because again, I mean, he could be a complex character. Do you keep him like an irredeemable jerk, or you layer him, right? You show where maybe he's conflicted with what he's doing, but we don't see that because he's trying to do what he thinks is keeping the peace, as however dramatic it seems. I think it could make for an interesting character. So that's what I liked about Suicide Squad. I like that. I didn't want to watch it. I had zero hopes and expectations for it. And I went in just to see the shark guy. And I enjoyed it because the other characters there, like Idris Elba's character, he's a great character. Him and Amanda Waller, they have some chemistry. The action between them is really good. And there's a scene where he meets his daughter, and him and his daughter going at it. It's nothing but hate. And you're like, this is kind of cringy. It's kind of uncomfortable. And it makes you think like, man, how many fathers out there don't really care about their daughters and stuff? But when he does what he has to do for his daughter's benefit, she never sees that. She doesn't know that. But then there's a moment where we see Idris Elba doing something completely heroic, turning his back on everything, putting his life at risk, and his whole, that whole suicide thing that could kill you to whim, going against orders to save, the people of that country where Starro is literally taking over. And there's a shot of him, and the daughter sees, and she didn't want nothing to do with him. She's so ashamed that he's her dad, but she sees him in this heroic thing, and they're like, wow, he's really heroic. And the news are saying how heroic he is. And she's like, that's my dad, with all her friends. And it was like, that's a proud moment. Like, it's like, man, that was a good moment. So it's not devoid of heroism. And I know what you're saying about iconic characters and maybe, misusing them. I didn't know much about King Shark. I didn't know much about Bloodsport, Idris Elba's character. I didn't know about Peacekeeper. The only one I was familiar with was Harley Quinn. And
I heard that Ratcatcher was actually not a bad character.
Ratcatcher is the saving grace of the movie. She's the glue of the whole movie. It's almost like in a subverted way. She has such a moment where her moment is so awesome that it makes you believe that if they do a live action reboot of TMNT, you need the Rat King. I'll just leave it at that. You can make the Rat King work. I'm just going to say that's her ability with the rats. She's an amazing character, and I love her dynamic with Idris. What I liked is that these characters don't fit, but they're in this thing together, and you see them organically have their moments and organically become their own, where it's not just it's not anguish to watch. Like when I saw the first Suicide Squad, that was painful for me to watch. It was painful. I'm watching, I'm just like, this is whack, or this isn't good, or that's not a way to watch a movie. Now, if I'm watching a movie and I'm not thinking about how bad the movie is, you're doing something right, because you're transplanting me. And I'll give credit to the Suicide Squad movie, because that's what it did to me. I had zero hopes for it. And yes, these villains were heroes. And yes, it was an awesome, great superhero movie where you don't want to call it a superhero movie. Okay, you can't call them superheroes, but they had their moments where they defined that they can be superheroes. And it was great. And again, they're using characters that are not known. I don't even know if Polka Dot Man is a character. I don't know if Peacekeeper is a character.
They're characters from the comics, yeah.
Okay, so guess what? They must be characters that are not high profile.
King Shark is not that obscure. Harley Quinn obviously isn't.
Right, that's it. But Bloodsport, I never heard of him. You heard of him?
No.
That's Idris Elba's character. He kind of got this Judge Dredd kind of helmet thing. And then you have Polka Dot guy. I don't know who the hell he is. I never heard of him. You heard of him?
I think I've heard of him.
So the thing is that what these obscure type of characters, you have a lot of freedom. You wouldn't have this much freedom with the Batman, right? You got to play a certain way. But with these guys, they have some freedom, and even with Nanawe, who's called King Shark, they have freedom, and they make it work. Where I wouldn't care about watching a third Suicide Squad movie, but now I kind of want to watch it if it's going to be James Gunn again, and if it's going to be Idris Elba coming back, and seeing what happens with Peacekeeper, because that's a little spoiler right there.
I just assume it not happen. I don't want any of these movies anymore. I don't want DC to make movies like this
anymore. Bad. Too bad it's happening. And one thing you have to understand, I'm with you with what they're doing to Batman and Superman. I'll give you that. The Suicide Squad, I don't follow in that way. I don't know if their prestige level.
It's still connected, though. It's still connected. That's the problem.
Right, but there's no mention of Batman in there. There's Harley Quinn. They don't talk about the Joker.
Harley Quinn is there. If Harley Quinn is there, that means it's connected to Batman, right?
But don't talk about Batman. You don't know nothing about Gotham City. For all intents and purposes, this Suicide Squad mission, it's its own entity doing its own thing.
It's still part of a connective tissue. You can't.
I get what you're saying. But it's still breathing on its own. It's still a franchise that's separate of anything else. It's still DC. You're right.
Maybe if they hadn't gone as hard, into the violence and the F-bombs and the gore.
But it's not that bad. Like the F-bombs weren't that bad. The F-bomb, like I can't even remember like the F-bombs like that. Like I can't.
Well, the gore and the violence, I heard it was pretty violent and pretty gory. So,
dude, you got a shark. You're gonna get you played Mortal Kombat.
This doesn't work for me, Gilly. It doesn't work for me.
I'm not saying that I'm not saying that it will work, right, in a way that you want it, but I'm saying that it works in a way that it still shows that these villains can be heroic, even though it's not taking the same, way or the same path like a traditional superhero movie.
The problem is that we're not getting any iconic superhero movies anymore. We're getting this trash. Okay,
it's not. I wouldn't say this is trash. I'll just be honest. I saw this movie and I didn't want to see it, and I saw the whole thing, and I'm judging on everything that I saw. I know you're mad and you're not gonna watch it, but if you sit down and like watch it, you're gonna fight to not like it, and that's not the way to watch a movie. So then I wouldn't say why. Then I wouldn't recommend you watch it, because that, for me, I can't go watch a movie like, oh well, I'm gonna hate this thing. I mean, I just want to go in and see Space Jam 2. I just knew what I was getting into. It's kind of like that. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna like this. And I saw it. I'm like, yeah, this is trash. This thing I had no hopes for, but it gelled. And I know you're not crazy about Punisher or like the anti-hero type, or like maybe Wolverine, because he kind of shows that a little bit. But what I'm saying is heroism in general, it can shine in a movie like this. It can. Again, if we're looking at that traditional standard, I'm with you on that. That's something that's a whole. I get that. As far as this working as its own and being an enjoyable movie, for me, that's what I was surprised, and that's where I think, even if you don't want to give it a chance, I'd say give it a chance, because it was entertainment, and I enjoyed it. I didn't expect nothing much from this movie. The fact that I enjoyed it, I laughed so much. And like I said, there's great character moments. The Rat Girl, Ratcatcher 2, she's an amazing character. Like, you're going to miss that dynamism just because you're like, I just don't want to watch that. So, okay. But you're going to miss out on something good, or you won't even give it a chance just because you're rooted in how you feel. And I'm with that. I get that, because as a fan, it's good to be that way. But I wouldn't just throw this as trash, even though it might not align with how you see things going, but it still has a core value of her heroism within the story, which I saw for myself, and I was happy to see. Because at the end of the day, if you watch something, you still want to feel good when you leave it. You don't want to be like, okay, well, damn, we still have feelings. You know what I'm saying? I saw it. I'm like, there was a good moment of heroism. I'm like,
I'll say this.
They had some moments.
I'll say this. If this was a movie that was not connected to DC at all,
no one would watch it. No one would watch it. That's the sad thing. No one would watch it.
Well,
you'd have to make what makes it work is that, okay, you got the whole Suicide Squad theme, right? Like, just this ragtag group of, non-desirables making it work, right? You want to be heroes making it work, right? That's the allure of it. And, if you have like a new movie called The Rejects, and it's like, it's just like, yeah, that's another Suicide Squad ripoff. To pull this off in this way and use characters, they purposefully picked this Bloodsport character, which I don't know nothing about, and it worked. The Peacekeeper, they made it work. The King Shark, it's tailored in a way where this movie could succeed and be good and enjoyable, and it was, and that was surprising for me. To do it in a whole other way, I don't know if it'd work. I don't know, but to do it in this way, I think they're showing, at least DC with this property, that they could get something on the right track, because a lot of stuff that they've been doing, I haven't been a fan of. Justice League, Batman vs Superman, the second version of Wonder Woman.
I feel this is the wrong approach. I feel this is just an extension of what I've had an issue with for all of these years with what they've been doing. Instead of getting a Green Lantern movie, we get another Suicide Squad movie. Like,
as I said, I didn't care about this movie at all, but I enjoyed it.
Everything. I want DC to die, okay, in its current form. That's how passionate I am about it. I mean, I don't, stuff like this, and I am not Starfire.
So here's the thing: there's a brand for everything. Even if you love DC and they're doing everything right, you wouldn't like the Suicide Squad just because it's geared towards this. It's a manufactured to be like a Punisher type movie, right? It's like those kind of heroes.
Everything else is the same thing, then this is an even bigger issue. You understand? They don't
No,
have anything iconic. They don't have the only iconic thing they have right now is the Superman and Lois show, and that's it. Nothing else.
and that's what happens when you got to do new things, and they don't do new things. How many times are going to reboot Batman? Are we going to get another Batman movie? Oh yeah, they're working on that. That's another movie I'm not interested in, but I'll watch it because it's Batman. And as we've since the 60s, the 40s, there's so many iterations of Batman. Hey, if it's in my way, I'll. And when I mean in my way, I didn't pay money for this. I bummed off my cousin, who's a great dude. Nel Dwad, he had HBO Max subscription, so as long as he had it, I was able to see this. So I didn't go out of my way to watch it. It was available, and it was great, and I'm glad I did. So as far as the new Batman movie, I'm not crazy. I'm not going to go out of my way to watch it, but if it's in some way like this where I could just see it, okay, great. That new Batman movie is doing nothing for me. The new Superman reboot with this Black Superman. I mean, I think Icon is the Black Superman. I feel this is where DC should, instead of just rebooting the same things, do something new. And for me, this version of the Suicide Squad is doing something new because the first one was trash, and it's kind of like they want to separate themselves from that. There's no mention of the first one. You don't need to see the first one to see this one.
Why did they use the same actors for Harley Quinn if they want to separate themselves from that other movie?
Oh, you got Harley Quinn. She's great. Margot Robbie. She does a great Harley Quinn.
Another actress if they wanted to separate themselves from that other movie.
She's a great Harley Quinn. She didn't need Joker. She has a scene in the movie that's pretty good. And it's like, okay, yeah, I forgot Harley Quinn's kind of crazy and loony, and it's believable that she could be, this badass. I'll let that go, and I enjoyed it. So if you're gonna just complain because Harley Quinn's in the first one without watching the second movie, I can't go by that. I get what you're saying as far as the franchising and all that stuff, but for me, this feels new. Because I saw the trash that was the first one, and I didn't care about seeing this one, and I'm like, okay, let me watch it because of the shark guy. I was floored.
I'm not gonna justify or vindicate this version of DC by watching this movie or by watching the Batman or by watching anything else they do in the future without wiping it clean, without starting from scratch, without.
Hey, there's one thing that you need to understand, right? We don't have control. We're just the fans, and a good company, and as a fan, I refuse to watch this, and I'm going to. And I'll just say,
is going to get me to watch this movie.
No worries. And I'll just say, as a film junkie who loves action and who loves a great premise and an interesting theme, I gave this one a chance, and I'm glad I did. Because at the end of the day, a film, it provides escapism, and it should leave you feeling good. And that's what this movie did for me. Aside from the trash that's going for the trash heap of how DC's handling their own stuff, I was able to sit down, turn off my brain, and actually enjoy the hell out of this movie. And I didn't expect it. So for me, that was a win. And as long as movies in general, and as long as Hollywood understands that message with its movies, I don't care what they do, as long as I can go into a movie, enjoy it, and come out feeling good. So as I said, you can do that with the Suicide Squad because, again, there's a lot of leeway. There's not that many expectations because you're not dealing with a Batman. You're not dealing with a Justice League. You're not dealing with a Flash. You're not dealing with all these baked in expectations because of what we expect. It's just like, hey, okay, Suicide Squad, I'll watch it. Let's see. Ragtag, root the bad guys, Thunderbolts. Let's see what we got. And I'm like, thank you. It was a good movie. I didn't expect that. So as a film junkie here, I want more of that. I give this Suicide Squad, I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10 because that's how much I enjoyed it. And I'm definitely looking forward to more. And Ron, if you ever just feel the need of watching an interesting movie that you could turn your brain off and just come away with some good laughs and some good entertainment, I'd say give it a shot. If not, you're missing out on some fun, buddy.
Oh, well.
Anyway, guys, this is the Geektastic Duo going on about the Suicide Squad. Did you watch it? Did you plan to watch it? Did you have expectations for this? And if you did see it, what are your thoughts? Let us know. And also, are you taking our buddy Hero Geek Ron's approach? And I'm not watching this no matter what. Are you? Let us know. Anyway, guys, till the next one. This is good. I always love talking geek stuff with my man Hero Geek. This is Gilly Writes Comics here, the Geektastic Duo, with another one. Till next time, guys. Geek out.
Geek out, guys.